spaz, Cody's flash. Wrestling love maps its place. Determined grit in every face. We all believe in Joe Hendry's name. Fighting through the fire in the wrestling game. Hearty soar like the legends they define. Knockouts fight, her power aligns.
What's going on, ladies and gents? Jake, aka Countdown Ended, coming to you once again, here to review TNA Rebellion. That's right, I'm not alone. I come fully equipped. Tonight, I'm joined by the one, the only, Bass Phoenix.
What's going on, bud?
And Cody is in the house as well. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. Looking forward to reviewing what I saw of the show because, links. Well, I watched it from TNA itself.
Yeah, your app just crashed. Let's go. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, the TNA Plus was glitching like a mofo tonight. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was bad. It was on TNA ends and TNA's end itself, I think, because the show was in pieces at times. I got kicked out of the app a bunch. Even when I checked like streaming links, when the app was failing, the streaming links were down too. So I was like,
I could barely get through any match. So I don't know what happened to most of the matches, but I'm here for the fuck of it.
That's right. I told you, still joined. We'll go through it all. And you and I went ahead. We talked a lot before.
My ass is tired and I got to work tomorrow, so I'm not gonna be here forever. But there's a couple of fun. I don't want to.
We're keeping you here.
We're making you stay forever because not only did you miss out before when we went ahead and we put out a great video, I want to say, Cody and I went ahead and we talked about Guilty or Guilt-Free, new series coming. That's right. Today is the debut episode, and we went ahead and talked about The Rock. Is he guilty for ruining WrestleMania 41? We brought out the old evidence board and we discussed everything that happened pretty much throughout all of 2024 and then some. So you're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you go ahead and check that out, our full evidence board of everything that The Rock did. You're not going to want to miss it. But tonight we're talking everything TNA and, funny enough, NXT. The one time that TNA could have went ahead and made a gigantic promise of a huge debut that the fans would not have rejected, and they did not say a goddamn word. There was no advertisement whatsoever that Indy Hartwell is now in TNA, Indie Wrestling, back under the WWE banner. Amusing there, but I was not either. That was something. I did out of everywhere she was going. I figured TNA over AEW, but
this wouldn't do anything for them, like ratings wise. It wouldn't blow them out of the water, whatever. I kind of like that they didn't, because I hadn't even heard whispers of this. I'm not gonna lie, but Indy Hartwell was sort of a mid-carder in WWE. She popped up for a cameo on the main roster every now and then.
Yeah.
She was part of the way. She was like the second to Candice LeRae. She was like, her and Austin Theory were like the kids or whatever of Gargano and LeRae for a while.
Yeah.
And friggin'
from when they were the way, yes, they had Austin Theory in there as well. He was under the tutelage of Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. That was fun. Yeah, she's been in the Memphis Indies for a while now, doing well. She's kind of been all over the place. She was in House of Glory and anywhere, so she's been making a name for herself.
I just mean the people that know her the most knew her as a mid-carder. So if you bring her in kind of as a by the way, and she kind of slips into the mid-card and builds herself to the top, it's better than throw her in at the top, let her have like one match in the main event or whatever, and then find her place. Like, let her find her place and move her way up. So,
I still like the idea of moving her up, but I would have made at least a little bit of noise saying like, hey, we have a pretty big signing tonight. Santino has a special announcement. You know, Miss NXT Ariana's going to come in the ring and make a big deal out of something, but I don't know. HGH, House of Glory holes. I love it, Pico.
I wouldn't do that in that case, because like she was let go from WWE. So it's not okay, NXT is giving you a transfer or a trade.
Yeah.
Like, she is somebody that was on the outside and has come back. So in that case, I would say don't treat her like a property that's just been shifted from NXT to TNA. I think there'd be something a little disingenuous about that.
I mean more of just making like a bit of a bigger deal out of it, less than a transfer, but more just like, hey, this is who we've got. I understand not wanting to put too much emphasis on it, like you said, where it puts an albatross around her neck. So thankfully, that's not the case we're at. But the fans were very happy. And I will say this was a Hardy crowd. They were there to see the Hardy Boys, and the Hardys did not disappoint. The ending might have disappointed, but Matt and Jeff they were killing it. The end of that tag team match took the wind out of the sails of the crowd for sure. And a bit of a botch there. That kind of was the theme of the night. There were a lot of issues, I want to say. I mean, for the most part, things were okay, but the first few matches kind of left a good bit to be desired. It wasn't until we got to that 6-man tag with the Rascals that things started to become a bit more exciting. It was fun to hear commentary try to put over Sean Waltman while essentially burying him at the same time, because there's interference on the outside, and they're like, that's what Sean's here to prevent. While it's happening, like you see Moose strangling Ace with in the commentary is like, he's here to stop that. That's what he's here for. But yeah, Jeff kills everyone. He comes down with his whole body weight. You just see him crush whoever's underneath him. Poor Ryan and Nick took a hell of it.
The Jeff Hardy thing, right? I just want to say this because I'm going to forget it. Because I was listening on, as always, go check out our friends over at the Wrestling for Life Network. They do their live watch-along stuff. They're really awesome. A lot of people in their chat and a lot of people on Twitter as well is like, oh, well, it's kind of disappointing now when Jeff goes up and just does a splash. First of all, he's been doing it forever. The guy's fucking broken. Second of all, you go do it.
He's literally broken, yes. Yes. No, he's literally broken. And what's going on to everybody in the chat? We got Byron in there, Pico, of course, Liz, Ryan the heel. I know we got Paul hanging in there somewhere. Shout out to Knifey Buckeye and everybody else hanging out with us. We appreciate the support. And everybody watching over on Rumble, too. Make sure you hit that follow and like button. But if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do so, because we're going to have more content throughout the week. We'll have our NXT review this Tuesday with Into Somewhere Weekly, where we break down Raw, SmackDown, everything that's going on in the week and what's to come. But for right now, we're going to start off right at the top. The pre-show was okay. It was nothing to write home about. I mean, it was what it was. They had Zaya Brookside, Li Ying Lee, and Rosemary taking on Fatal Influence.
I didn't watch anything of the pre-show, so
so
it was really fun, solid, disposable. What a pre-show is supposed to be. Sorry to put such a blunt head on it, but I mean, I'm invested in the girls in Fatal Influence. I really like Rosemary. Zaya Brookside is one of the does what she does. It was a fun match, and it was one of those, like, you don't need to think about it as soon as it's over. I was looking at it from the perspective of there's a lot of NXT participation on this show, and we've got one up on the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, where is this going? The open challenge, I don't want to cast any dispersions on anybody. I don't know much about New Japan. You and I have talked about it in the past. I know bits and pieces about the Mighty Don't Kneel faction. I don't know this guy that answered Elijah's open challenge. It was a fun enough match.
It was fun.
For Elijah.
Yeah, Fatal Influence wins the match before. It was basically where Rosemary kind of got some interference on her own team. JC kind of throws Zaya into Rosemary. She falls off the apron, and then she looks down and sees the brass knuckles. She's not pleased. So it's about the after the match angle more than the match itself. Fatal Influence comes in. They look strong. And as you said, Shane Haste is not someone I'm overly familiar with either. The crowd didn't know who the hell he was. That was a very flat reaction, unfortunately, but I see why they did this on the pre-show. because had they brought him in, it was a good way to showcase somebody. And I think the crowd had higher expectations, but the pre-show crowd knew to temper theirs because, hey, it's just it's on the pre-show, exactly. So,
and I want to sort of double down. Like I kind of threw it in your direction because I thought you might know more about him than me.
Unfortunately, not the one time I don't.
I didn't dislike the match. I thought it was a really solid match. I just struggled from the beginning because lack of investment. It puts me in a position of, okay, there's only one guy I know. I'll automatically back him.
Yeah.
From a familiarity stance, not necessarily an I want you to win stance. And it's like I've got like 0.5 investment instead of 1 investment. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I get that.
That aside, like that's something you get over the course of the match if the person that you're watching is good. And the match was solid. As soon as it wasn't a huge surprise, it kind of swung it in the direction of, hey, well, Elijah's gonna win.
Yeah.
We were thinking this was gonna be a much bigger thing when we did the preview prediction pod over on my side. I don't think we knew at the time that this was on the kickoff.
No, we did not. So we were kind of shooting high, as so was most of the crowd. It was what it was. Elijah is extremely over. We were hoping for something big. I mean, because it seemed like, hey, what are the storylines? Who could come over and do something in like a squash sensation that's been to TNA or was in TNA? So Cross was a big, great name. I know that's where Cody knows most from is Killer Cross, you know? So he's fantastic. And like I said, good call to do it. I agree with them doing it on the pre-show because they really would have, shot themselves in the ass here had they gone ahead and done this on the main show. We don't want anybody shooting themselves in the ass. Not here, not now. But for the kickoff show, it was what it was. It was decent.
I think you put them in a decent spot as well.
Yeah.
Like if it's somebody that you're not sure that people know or not, they get the benefit of the doubt of, it's just the kickoff. It's just a little bit of extra wrestling. We're not going to look at it too harshly. Yeah. So I think positive move on their part. And like I say, the ladies match could have been on the card, but it was fun. It was a win for NXT. I mean, I like the whole we've talked about the whole working relationship between the two companies. I think they're both benefiting, but I'm going to lean ever so slightly NXT when they're the visitors, when they're like the, I don't know, they're the ones dealing with unfamiliar territory.
Yeah, less the invading force and more the defensive. Yeah, I get your point. It certainly works. And Killer Cross Eyes would be a great heel, absolutely. But no, Killer Cross's merch is sold out on WWE Shop. I don't know if they refreshed it yet, but like he's got a huge momentum behind him right now with the fans. There's a massive fan surge. That short I put out of him doing the promo, talking about when he was Mad Max hunting for gasoline.
Something that somebody posted on Twitter earlier today, like the ones that are killing it the most at merch right now are like Killer Cross, obviously Aleister Black, and Dominic Mysterio. And
Joe Hendry. His merch was sold out instantly, the WrestleMania one. So
he sure is buried.
He got killed. He's a Minuteman, and he was involved with the main event angle as NXT's former champion Trick Williams attacked him.
Saying he was back to Joe Hendry being buried.
Yeah,
people really saying he was buried.
There was a small contingent of assholes
that want to shit on WWE and are begging for the TNA WWE relationship not to work, want to frame it in such a way that WWE is going to do so much damage to TNA. Look what they did to their champion. Yeah, look what they did to their champion. He was in the semi main event of WrestleMania in front of 60,000 people
against one of the best superstars of all time.
Yeah,
against the first ballot Hall of Famer in Randy Orton, who was doing that match to
don't be dumb.
20th WrestleMania.
That needs to be an ultimate hashtag catchphrase on this show. Just don't be dumb. Easy as that.
The RKO after the match, that's just Randy Orton being Randy Orton.
Yeah. But that was fun.
They were both laughing about it as it was happening.
And he did his pose afterwards. He put over, Joe Hendry's pose. He got the gimmick over. How do you beat that?
Randy Orton chose the facing, right? Didn't he?
Randy Orton was the one that picked him.
Yeah, he picked him, but I
mean,
mean,
the situation came about that Kevin Owens wasn't able to do it, and they basically said, "We want to give you something big. Who do you have in mind?" And they gave him like 5 or 6, I think 5 or 6 different names were discussed. I don't know who they are, and he's the one that said,
"Hendry,
grab Joe, grab Hendry. It'll be fine."
Yeah, exactly.
And what I like about it is
you say his name.
Yeah, Jake, you and I talked about this quite a bit, but like
Absolutely.
there's no heat in the match because there's no heat between the two guys. They went out
Yeah,
there, they had fun. Even when Randy Orton was taking the piss with the second RKO after the match, they were both cracking up. Orton did the
exactly. It
spin in the
wasn't. It
pose, and
wasn't to
he's
have
cracking up.
heat. It wasn't a story. It was just a moment, a WrestleMania moment. Just like when Cena faced Undertaker, just like, and it was that quick squash. It was just to have the face off and the entrance more than anything. You got
And I heard
60
about
plus
that
thousand
story, yeah.
fans believing.
Please
Under-
name me somebody, I mean, other than ex-WWE people that have already been at WrestleMania, but name anybody else on the AEW roster that if they were allowed wouldn't have picked up that phone call.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. Everybody wants that spot in WrestleMania. You're not being buried. You're being presented to a gigantic audience, to a global sensation.
I dare say, even Kenny Omega would answer that call.
Oh,
Well, he
absolutely.
definitely would.
And Kenny Omega eating an RKO. I don't hate Kenny Omega, but like,
I don't know if it's
him-
true exactly, but I heard Kenny though is kind of done with AEW, sick of it in a way. But I don't know.
Some of his
yeah, he did that
comments
big
tend to
Randall Allen.
lean that way. Yeah, I mean,
sticking
he
up for
put over Roman Reigns
in that
again.
big
Still,
thing, yeah.
there's
know.
something to be said. We've seen other people leave. I mean, basically, CM Punk's Collision is now in WWE. Like the show he wanted, Andrade and Ricky Starks and Aleister Black and Rusev. You know what I mean? He got pretty much everybody that he wanted.
The comparison that I love, and I know I'm taking us far off the path here, right? But when Stand and Deliver came around, the big thing was, how was it phrased? They were talking about the Ricky Starks Ethan Page match, and they're like, oh my god, they think this is pay-per-view worthy. This would have only been on Rampage. Yeah, because Tony Khan's an idiot.
Yeah. How did you feel about Tessa Blanchard tapping tonight? That's what I want to know.
Hold. I just want to finish the other end of my point.
Okay.
Just last week,
there's more.
They had the Revival versus the what do you call it? Undisputed Era, whatever they are now.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about, that would have only been on this, they just put on their show what would have only been on NXT. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Revival
kidding.
And yeah. So it's just like, comparison is the thief of joy. You're just upset that the wave has now waved the other way. When the wave was going that way, it's fine. Now
they're not getting any momentum. Yeah.
And it's amazing to me how many. It's amazing to me how many people suck now. Like Ricky Starks sucks now. Penta and Phoenix suck now.
The other two I forgot to mention. Yes, her as well. But
sucks now. Julia sucks now.
Well, you forgot they're all hard to work with. They're difficult.
CM Punk sucks now.
Problematic. Yep. They cause issues backstage. You know, you got this. But I'm still on riding high from the only Trick Williams going ahead and walking out with that, holding that TNA championship. Looked good on him. I'm not going to argue that belt. Come on, making Trick the TNA champion before he goes up to the main roster could be fun.
It could be.
No doubt about it.
And the next pay-per-view is Under Siege, and I'm going to be there.
Yes, indeed. You will be there live. We'll have Spaz in the house. So make sure you check out Spaz's YouTube channel because I do guest over there for the State of Wrestling. All the links in the description box down below. But like I said, if you're not subscribed, you got to make sure you do that.
We will be previewing Under Siege, and I will be extra excited. It's not quite the chamber in the dome, but it's the siege in Brampton. I don't know.
You kind of got it there. I'll give you half a Cody Rhodes for that one. Oh, there we go.
They
but
did put the chamber in the dome, Cody. You're absolutely right.
How did you feel about Tessa tapping tonight? I know I don't have you too long, so I want to try and get through some main points. But some people are not happy. Other people feel like this is a good thing because it shows that she'll work cooperatively with the locker room. This was basically a sign to the locker room that hey, she's there to play business. She'll play ball. I'm just
because like as much as I've had Tessa's back in the face of just we don't like you, therefore you're not allowed to earn a living.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have Tessa Blanchard's back in that regard because cancel culture is a thing and it shouldn't be a thing. It doesn't mean that I want her to come in and win and destroy everything and be Bianca Belair. No, that's not the point. The point is she's on TV. Even though you might not like her, even though Jeff619 on X doesn't like him, even though like I have never touched grass on Instagram doesn't like her, and I find her very triggering, and she hurt my little fifis, and how dare she be on TV when I've decided she shouldn't be on TV.
She's a racist. Yeah, you got to have your whole chant, you know. It's a lot better than she's but I mean, to each their own. Granted, now you sound a lot better to the audience because Discord reset the bit rate down to 1 kilobyte per second. So now everybody sounds a little bit higher quality. Sorry about that, Chad, but at least we're cooking and grooving
Everyone
here.
sounds higher. All right.
Yeah, leave it to me to fuck up, but that's all right. What else is new? I didn't mind it.
No,
I thought it was a good statement.
Max Slimovich is kicking ass as champion though, so I'm not at all upset.
No, especially the match they had where she attacked
it was fantastic.
Tessa early on. She basically came close to winning in like 6 seconds. So Tessa, really got put through the ringer here, and she tapped to the champion, the women's knockout champion. I don't
Tessa
look at it as her being buried. I don't look at it as a bad thing. I think she's great, and I think she's only going to get better. I see her as women's champion again soon, not just to piss off fans, but they have another story to tell, I'm sure. It seems like.
I told you the match that I want to see. I want to see Tessa versus Charlotte.
Yeah.
Look at the fans and be like, you got to cheer somebody.
Well, it's funny that was rumored to be happening at the Evolution 2 pay-per-view that Cody and I are hoping to attend in person. So there's actually a few matches being thrown around as a WWE, NXT, TNA, and AAA show. They're going to have the women's division of all 4, apparently, from what we've heard reported so far. Nothing concrete yet. Again, we're going through speculation and rumor mill on this one, but it's supposed to be... Yeah, hey. It's supposed to be at Mohegan Sun on the 5th of July in Connecticut, so we're hoping that's the case.
Oh, Evolution you're talking about. Sorry.
Yes.
I was thinking Worlds Collide. Never mind.
Yes. No. Worlds Collide is the NXT AAA. That's June 7th, excuse me, with Money in the Bank. Yes, that's correct. But you wouldn't watch Charlotte versus Tessa? I don't know how many people would, to be honest with you. I would watch it, but Liz says she wouldn't. I don't know. That's going to be divisive as pretty much you can get for that one. But that was one of the ones I heard rumored.
Canceled for saying you were going to watch it. I might get canceled. And
I also heard Spitfire taking on Sol Ruka and Zarya as a tag match.
Ooh,
that may not disappoint.
I would watch the shit out of too.
Right? So that's a fun match. I'm hearing some good things.
I come to an awkward spot because I did that pod not too long ago where I made the case where we generally don't need an Evolution 2. And it was basically it could potentially do more harm than good. Let's work on focusing on the women and platforming the women all the time rather than giving them one night and saying, go fuck yourself. We gave you your one night. Now we don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
The other side of that coin is, as you're pointing out here, there are fantastic matches. And if we're going to do Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, AAA,
sign me up indeed, because now not only is it a crossover event, but you're including women from each.
I know people are still criticizing that whole situation in the first place. An all-woman pay-per-view, they say they don't need that again. They already get their own matches again, like the men have and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But guess what? If they're doing it with multiple companies, it's a way to showcase all the women. I think that's even better of a reason to have it.
See, yes, but in that case, do put the focus on the crossover and the cooperation and the outreach and all that sort of thing.
I think that would be the focus, not that it's all women.
We made it better because we got rid of all the penises.
Mm-hmm. Even the male referees have to identify as women in that scenario. All right, so it's.
I mean,
slightly problematic.
CM Punk, might try to identify as a woman, and
I did hear something a while ago in a clip of an interview where they talked to CM Punk about like back in the day when he had the night where he was on commentary because the rest of the roster was on strike and all that kind of thing. And they asked him if he'd like to do commentary again. And one of the first things he said was if they do Evolution 2, he'd like to do commentary for it,
which would be awesome.
Which is a pretty interesting shot in the arm for him because he's stuck up for a lot of, like, when he was in AEW, he was advocating a lot for people like Britt Baker. Now he's back in WWE. He's giving shout outs to Rhea Ripley all the time. He's working with the ladies down in NXT, even though that somehow makes him a pervert because people are weird.
I know. But that was one of my favorite shout outs.
That he's shouted out lately. Rhea Ripley, I know Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade. He said Liv Morgan's his MVP.
Of
And
course, yeah. And I mean,
who
he's
else
saying
was
stuff,
there?
he's
There
saying
was
stuff
one
that's
else.
awesome, but it means more coming from him.
Absolutely. Like when
Yes.
Seth came out and interrupted him and he's yelling into the mic, why can't it be Rhea Ripley? You know, it's funny, but it's also putting her over. And Punk's great. He's always platformed women and to,
I know
you know,
that's
look at his wife, obviously. She was a pioneer as well for the most part.
He works with the most. Cora, Roxanne, Liv, and Rhea. I know those are the main four.
AJ Lee wanted to be taken serious when everybody else wanted to be a diva, and that was the problem. If she was able to transplant herself into now,
and if we get Paige back, I'm sorry, I know
Paige was on the latter half of AJ's career because AJ was close to done when Paige started to really
I just mean when
debut
they
and
did the whole anti-diva thing.
Yeah, at 32.
And it
that promo from AJ Lee from the anti-diva thing was.
Oh yeah, basically, like, I don't want to say this just because they're married, but it was like her version of the pipe bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
Talent is not sexually transmitted.
And if you go back and compare their promos, they kind of talk very similar.
They fuck very similar? I think so too.
Yeah, they do that as well. I mean,
yeah.
You hear what we're getting tomorrow night on Raw, by the way.
What are we getting?
Roxanne versus Rhea.
We are. That's right. I cannot wait. Going to be an amazing match. We'll be reviewing Raw and discussing NXT as well live this Tuesday and into Somewhere Weekly. So make sure you're subscribed. Check that out.
Rhea's taking some time off, by the way. I don't know if that's.
I don't know.
Supposedly, the rumor that's going around is this little alliance between Roxanne Perez and Julia that started last week is going to facilitate Rhea taking some time off.
I've heard that as well, that they're going to be they're going to attack her, and this is going to be Julia's slow ascension to the main roster as well. So she's going to be doing dual service. So interesting. Yeah. Along with whoever else decides to not be called up fully.
Clearly, there's going to be some shenanigans or some interference, but before that, I do want to see them do what WWE's been better at recently, is like give us the match and then just give us the fuck finish. Don't make the whole match full of fuckery, because then there's nothing to it. A little bit of David and Goliath, where David is the heel, because that's always an interesting.
It's always interesting. Yeah, no kidding, but it does work. With the Ash and Heather by Elegance match, while we're speaking of the women, I wish that was better. That was a letdown.
But again, to my point,
I mean, I get it, because to add to the Elegance brand at the end, they have Maggie Lee basically holding Ash so she doesn't get taken out in the big superplex in the corner. But
the end was crap.
Yeah,
I didn't like it at all.
Pretty much the whole match, though, I didn't think was great. The only decent part was who was it? Lash Legend throwing. Who'd she throw onto everybody? She threw Ash. No. First she pressed Ash and then threw her over, and then she had Lash stand on, or no, Jakara stood on Lash's shoulders, and then she did the big jump down to the pile. And Jackson almost missed, if you noticed. Like she jumped a little short, and when Jakara landed, she almost took herself out bad. That made me nervous, but it was a cool spot.
It wasn't a perfect match. But
it was not. It left a lot to be desired.
There's a lot of things in this match that are going to carry it for me. There's a lot of characters in this match that I like. I like the members of Chemical X, even though Shotzi's not there, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I like Spitfire, Jody Thread in particular. I've had a chance to see in person a lot. Destiny, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. It's fine. Oh, by the way, guess who the guest is going to be at our next Destiny show, making an appearance, meeting and greeting everybody?
Ooh, who's that?
The Godfather.
That's awesome. He's a hell of a person to meet. Papa Shango himself and the Good Father. Well, that'd be a hell of a thing.
Jake, we've done this before. If I want to shoot my shot and try to get more people to come out to Mississauga to a Destiny show, if you're in the GTA, our champion is Dijak.
Yes.
Our mid-card champion is Casey Navarro.
Mm-hmm.
Our women's champion is Nup Alaribi.
Casey Navarro, who was just on GTS Wrestling. Liz, let me know. Crazy.
Yeah. But Nup Alaribi is the former Aaliyah from WWE. She's our women's champion. And our tag team champions are... with the worst name change ever. Luchador. It's her real name.
I know. Still, get a new one. It's impossible to remember.
Our tag team champions are giant Dr. Frankenstein themed luchadors.
Yeah. Hey, it makes me excited. That's all you need for me to go ahead and want to tune in.
You're coming to Brampton, eh?
I'm going to be making the trek. I'll just be walking. No, Ash and Heather by Elegance, when you look at, especially in a WrestleMania week vacuum, think about the 3 tag team matches we got this week. All 3 featured Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, but we had 2 different sets of competitors. We had Gigi and Tatum on NXT, and then we got to see Lyra and Becky Lynch face them twice. All 3 of those matches were fucking excellent, and I mean absolutely excellent. May not have loved the conclusion at times, and then they got the titles back, and then they successfully defended them. Hey, all's right in the world. But the 3 matches, even with Liv losing at Mania, still really damn good. Becky,
it's insane.
What, one bump? Lyra bumped like a crazy person. Absolutely. So when you get to this match with 4 teams, and we just saw a quarter of the team put on an amazing match on NXT, I had high hopes, and this one really let me down. And after the Ultimate X match, which we'll get into the nitty gritty shortly, folks, I'll break it all down for you.
I would love to see Liv and Raquel face some of those women.
I would love to see that. That's where Evolution really could come in strong, because you could do champion versus champion. And do Ash and Heather, but I hope somebody else has some by then.
Would be a lot of fun.
That would be
versus Spitfire, yeah.
I still like Spitfire, Zol, and Zolruka, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
But with her being North American champion, that's less and less possible. Surely.
With Spitfire, the one that gets more attention, I think, is Jody Threat. I think she's a little bit better known, and I've seen her a lot more, obviously, because she's from Toronto. But Dani Luna is solid. She's not as like bombastic and high flying, and she doesn't have as many spots, but as far as like putting a match together, Dani Luna is just like a solid person to have in the match, and she ain't hard to look at. Let's be real for a second.
Yeah,
I'll do something tricky for a thickie.
No doubt about it. That's only I got the I love you sign, but just go with it. Keyboard. Better than putting out all the bananas, giggity. So, chat.
Speaking of signs.
Yes.
Speaking of signs, did you see the sign in the audience that they kept on cutting to for long periods of time that said Joe Hendry should be John Cena's last match?
Yes. Love that sign. They are going to have Joe Hendry face John Cena at some point. He had an amazing week. He got himself over. I'm curious what the chat's favorite match was. I'm almost positive everybody loved the Hardy Boys, but chat, let me know. What was your favorite match or moment of the night? What did you like the most? What did you like the least, actually? Let us know in the chat. Moose opened up. He took on El Hingo del Vikingo. That's how I say it. Versus Leon Slater, Matt Cardona, Casey Navarro, and Sidney Akeem in an Ultimate X match for the X Division title. And this was Moose's 171st day as champion. Nice. And it's the 53rd Ultimate X match in history. So all 6 entrants were competing in their first Ultimate X match. And they really played up like Moose is afraid of heights. Love that angle.
I love them playing that off. I love the big scary guy that's got an Achilles heel, like a psychological Achilles heel. They did the typical, I'll get my manager to get it for me.
Yes.
Thing.
Francis got involved in Alicia, and yeah. Basically, you knew once he sat on commentary, you knew he wasn't going to stay there long. Well, maybe currently he might, because who else is doing choke slams? Hendry's doing the ovation. We got some This Is Awesome chants. Granted, I thought the crowd was being very generous. It was just a few dives to the outside by Leon and Vikingo, and I think Akeem as well. Moose did a huge power bomb basically from the ring onto everybody else on the outside. He just kind of lunged Akeem onto everybody. That was cool. That deserved a This Is Awesome chant. But Cardona was kind of a non-factor in this match for quite a while. I really thought he would play up more. He hits whatever he calls a zigzag now. I always forget it. But Zack Ryder's dead. Vikingo hit a really cool, he hit a massive destroyer on Slater from the apron. That was cool. And basically it all built up to Slater climbing to the top of the cable side of the Ultimate X pole and doing a swanton essentially off of it. And Christ,
450.
Yes, Swanton 450, and goddamn, did he land hard. They barely caught him. He landed so flat and just stiff onto that mat. I don't know how he knocked the wind out of himself. I don't know how he didn't. He must have, but he managed to climb back into the ring. He climbs back up, gets across the table, unhooks the belt, And that's when they're like, oh, Slater's feet has to touch the ground. He's got to touch the mat while holding the belt. And as he drops down, his feet hit the mat, but then Moose spears the shit out of him. Had they pulled this off, it would have been one of the most incredible finishes. But they didn't. And he won. His feet touched the goddamn ground. So I wasn't crazy about the ending.
I have to watch the end again. I think it's the fact that your feet have to touch the ground with possession of the belt, and I think the story that they're telling is the belt fell out of his hand before his feet hit the ground.
Yeah,
I wanted to say just before the actual ending, because everything up to the ending I thought was great. The way he locked himself in, the way he sort of crawled under the belt, because the two cables make the X, whatever.
Yes,
and he had all 4 points of the X of the cable locked up, like one leg over one leg over the other.
Yeah, this way he had him all four.
He was the most secure person that's ever been up there.
Yes,
he was basically hugging the belt, and he had the belt between him and the cables before he even undid it.
Yeah,
but when they did the announcement at the beginning, and the announcer hit hard on that with both feet touching the ground, it's like, okay, clearly they're reminding you of the rule, because they're gonna fuck with it.
Yeah, Slater's like, I got kids, and you're like, wrong guy, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
somebody's gonna blame me for being racist. I'm like, no, it's the other gimmick. Oh Jesus! But it was a fun match till the ending. The ending again, the wind beneath my wings just gone. They took the sails down, and it crumbled. It crumbled hard, and I think the crowd, the disappointment they had, really played into. Not just the finish, but the next match, because you just kind of felt the energy die a little bit.
And it could have been the surprise person, right? Like, we speculated over who the surprise was going to be, and off the back of what happened at Unbreakable, they put Sidney Akeem, the former Reggie, in this match, which was a really nice spot for him. So that would have been
a good spot for him, but no one gives a shit, sadly.
Yeah. No,
he was there to just bounce around because he's an acrobat and can do sometimes crazy stunts. It fits.
An acrobatic match, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It fits, but always with wings.
But
that's right.
It could have been.
Figured I'd like Lyra more.
We were speculating a lot of like high flyer, like your Nathan Frazier's, your Axioms, your Javon Evans, etc.
Yeah.
Just to bolster that working relationship a little bit more. But the other thing I'm noticing, and I'm noticing it online, I'm noticing it in the crowd and in the chats and whatnot elsewhere. There's a really nice groundswell of support, even though he's a bad guy, for Casey Navarro.
Yes.
Casey Navarro's fantastic.
He's everywhere right now. He's one of the ones that's just very, very popular.
I'm going to lean on the bias. I've had to see this guy in person a lot.
Yeah, you have.
Fantastic.
He's damn good. I don't know why he wasn't able to catch on before, but I'm glad that he's making a movement, work for him now. He's getting that, as we said before, groundswell of success. Even maybe his time in GTS got him over, but the crowd was dead after this one. Then we went into the women's tag match. We have Ash and Heather by Elegance with their private concierge going against Lash, Legend, and Jakara Jackson from Metaphor, Danny Luna and Jody Threat and Spitfire. So they're great. I mean, they probably had the high spot of this match. And then Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley, Chemical X, minus Shotzi. I was really rooting for them. I thought it would be great, especially the way commentary, Reinhold kept playing up, oh, no one's won it and, a major title and crossed over yet. Everybody crosses the line, but no one's taken that title yet. And I thought this might be the match for that. I understand why they retained the story they're going for. People don't hate it, but most of it was blasé, I kind of feel like. The ending was shit. Maggie Lee comes out. She holds on to Ash while everyone does the Superplex Tower of Doom spot. And that's when Ash hits, what is it, Ratified Air?
Rarefied Air.
Rarefied Air. That's what it is. I always get that mixed up and don't remember what the fuck it is. So, hey, there we go. And that was it. 1, 2, 3. Me and finisher names, man. That's the biggest swerve there is.
Yeah. I think you could have gotten away with this.
This was just chaos at times, unfortunately, because there were so many people and things were happening. And I give production credit; they were okay for most of the night. But they were having issues. So the stream kept crashing, especially during this match. So I know I missed a couple of sequences. I tried to go back when I could in between promos and catch things, but for the most part, it was just very chaotic and kind of hard to follow. And the ending really left a lot to be desired, sadly. Then the next
my
match.
thought walking away, sorry, before we
please.
get off the tag,
yeah.
My thought was you just did a really lame finish, and you could get away with doing a couple of bad finishes, but you did 2 in a row, and
exactly
even that wouldn't hurt you so much. But TNA, I mean, along with NXT in this case, are known for their women's divisions.
Yeah.
Right? So
their women's division really should be top notch. And like you said, no Windows update, no bad.
Those 2 women's divisions coming together should be fantastic. And then the other obvious example of that is the X division is TNA's thing.
Yeah.
So to have a letdown in the X division match, and then a letdown in one of the women's matches back to back.
You could even say a letdown in the surprise for Elijah's open challenge as well. Maybe not for us, but for the live crowd, really. Like, they were like, who's it going to be? So you saw them actively like, this guy sucks. What, and it's like, give him a chance, but they were not happy.
Yeah, there's a whole give them a chance, but then there's the whole, okay, what did you guys expect?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, then we got into, yes.
You said it yourself, though. Ali and Santana resurrected this crowd.
Oh, absolutely. And until then, we got a bit of life back into us with the 6-man tag. So now Moose, who's already fought before, just 2 matches before this, is coming back out because Dango is having travel issues.
Apparently. Oh, travel issues. Okay.
They said travel issues. He could be injured. Okay. I don't know what is legitimate or not. But what I will say is it worked with Moose being in this match. Since they could play up the factor of him already wrestling, him getting pinned in the end makes even more sense. It is still a great way to, put over Wentz, and he's owed a, title match anyways, a rematch. So I'm sure that's where they're going next. But Ace Austin, Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz working together with X-Pac, Sean Waltman. This was great. He looked so alive and jubilant. The crowd. Stuff. DX stuff was very heavy. There was a lot of crotch chops. There was a lot of Bronco Busters.
Coming out in the gear and everything. And Sean Waltman with his I'm definitely not X-Pac entrance.
And I love how they say hi to Road Dogg, Brian James, and then they never mention Billy Gunn. Why is that?
No.
Why is that? I don't know. Is he still in the office filing paperwork? I'm not sure. But I did really enjoy this match.
Paperwork that the Bucks shredded.
He's got to file it all together. Goddamn shoe
Is he still
orders.
playing with those scissors in his office or something?
He might be. He's
scissoring something.
Oh God, where are the Gun Boys, anyways? So yeah, JDC is not out for this one. He missed the show. They said travel complications, but we went ahead and they just went all out like they always do. The Rascals hit a crazy double team move on Moose right away. Obviously, Trey Miguel follows up with the spiral tap. I thought that was it at that point. When he hit the spiral tap, I didn't see Edwards coming to break it up, but the 2 of them did. Myers and Edwards get the break up, but that was a great near fall. Now the crowd is hyped. Alicia gets in the ring, and that's when Sean comes in, and it looks like she's gonna slap him. He stops her. She goes to move, and he gives her the fucking face buster. X-Factor. Boom, baby. Loved it. I know you love X-Factor, but you ain't gotta look at me like that. Oh, you gotta get Uncle Cracker back. I love how they just
in good shape too. Eh?
They stole that whole Uncle Cracker song. The only thing they did for that entire theme was just put X-Factor over. That was it. They just took that song. You don't have to X-Factor. That was it. It was so fucking great. Yeah, the TPS reports. Where's my stapler? So, they all do the DX suck it after this. Apparently, the referee never saw any of this. It was one of those schmas.
This was
let the crowd have.
Fun match.
This was for fun. Wasn't serious. But it has serious implications because, as I said, Moose goes for the spear on Wentz. I thought that was going to be it because they would still have the system win. But alas, he catches him and hits another X Factor of his own. And that was probably one of my favorite sequences of this whole night. That was great. So similar to the pedigree from the spear. but in shades of, like, we got that the other day. Now we get this. Loved it. Very innovative, fun, great way to finish the match. You pay homage to a legend who can do spin kicks still like no fucking other. I have a hard time getting off the ground sometimes when I gotta, grab something for the dog. God forbid I have to get back up quickly. Here his 60-year-old ass is doing fucking martial arts, taekwondo spin kicks and bronco busters, and he didn't even split open his asshole this time. God.
And you know what it proves,
this was
Jake?
fun. What is that?
You know what it proves? Because I'm sure there's stuff we could nitpick. We could nitpick stuff with the referee. We could nitpick, some people don't like
that DX works in every company.
The DX works in every company. Yeah. The DX is
Yes,
if you think about it, DX is running all of wrestling.
Yeah.
But I know there's people out there that don't like a whole lot of tribute stuff, and I get it to a degree.
Yeah.
Like there was some silly stuff. There was definitely some stuff that should have been a disqualification. You could nitpick the fuck out of this.
Yeah.
This match proves if it's fun, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. If you can make the
This
live
was
crowd
the fun
pop,
match.
they made them hot and heavy, baby. They were breathing heavy for this
And
one.
Jake, think about this.
That crowd got excited.
Think about how much time I spend burying the system. Way more time than WWE spends burying Joe Hendry.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't stand the system. They're all three individual great wrestlers. They showed it in this match. I can't stand the system. This was the funnest match of the night.
Yeah, it really was. It was so much fun. I loved it. I had a lot of fun.
And all three of those guys on the other side, I should say, are really great, solid technical bases for high flyers like Ace, like the Rascals, etc. Funny to see as well. I think this is the first time since Chris Bay got injured that Ace Austin has not come out to the ABC music.
I think so, because he came out with
he came out with his own music.
Yeah,
accurate.
I think
so.
Because he's been using the ABC music. Obviously, he's been out there constantly with like the Chris Bay shirt on. And
you may be right.
I'm plugging I forgot what his old music sounded like, and I forgot how good his old music was. I like the ABC tag team entrance, but like his music, when he does the one-handed cartwheel with the cane, clearly like he's Gambit the same way Steve Macklin is the Punisher. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But I forgot how cool his old entrance is, and as I say, don't hold me to it, everybody in the chat, whatever, because I could be wrong, and there might be some house show somewhere where he came out to, Who Wants to Boogie or something. But I think he's been using the tag team music more so to, like I say, obviously draw attention and traffic to the helpful efforts for Chris Bay, who walked out on stage at Unbreakable.
Yeah, and Unbreakable, which I didn't get to cover with you, but it was a great show. They had the mixed tag match as well. This match was
a show together to be part of WrestleMania week.
Yeah, this match was fun from start to end, and Steve Macklin is where fun goes to die. So this match, bell to bell, it was boring as all hell. Sorry, it was. I have a hard time getting into Steve Macklin ever.
I know.
He's the white Terminator and just bland as all hell. He takes so much punishment.
Terminator is white.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, the white meat Terminator. The baby white. You get my... Hey, don't argue with my bell.
That white meat.
That white meat Terminator.
The vanilla Terminator.
Exactly. That's what I was going for. Like, the blandest of the bland, the non-killer. He would walk up and just be like, you could hit him a lot. He's not going to do anything cool, though. You get it. So we got him and Eric Young.
I agree to disagree. I can't argue totally against it, but I do enjoy what he does.
The white Terminator. You absolutely get it. And you know what? Eric Young, I've never been crazy about. I don't dislike either, but his current gimmick being that
he's crazy,
he is crazy. He's legitimately crazy, and him trying to be crazy.
He's a world-class maniac.
It makes him very slow and plotting and menacing and killer-like, horror-esque, and that often leads to...
I like the Macklin entrance, though, where Northern Armory had already come out with the masks, and then he came out with his own, painted like the Punisher, and smashed it.
Yeah.
Like, little tiny thing. Like, it not stuff
but it
that's gonna
works.
set the world on fire, but nice little touches.
I was the man that hated Wonder Bread Steve Macklin. Yes, thank you, Pico. You get it. Macklin before, he's getting asked by Gia Miller repeatedly, "Are you okay?" And he's just catatonic, staring straight ahead.
And then he smirked. Nobody smirked.
He smirked.
That was the long-term storytelling.
That
Still
was
more long-term
the
storytelling.
the gas,
than you
the
get on an episode
drink,
of
knocking
Dynamite.
him unconscious, all of that. The roofing led to him being okay because he's happy. He doesn't know what happened to him when he was roofied.
Can we talk
He
about
wouldn't
the
be
fact that
smiling then.
There was more women featured on tonight's pay-per-view than you'll get in 6 months of Dynamite.
Again, yeah, even if the tag match wasn't
16.
great, it's far better than what we're getting elsewhere. They just keep
16.
knocking it out of the park. I guess after not having any singles matches for a while, we had the first 3 matches. They were all multi-person affairs. So getting back into a singles match was a little bit of a refreshment, but I don't know. It never would put it this way. I never doubted that Macklin would retain, so I didn't buy into Eric Young here. There was never a point in the match where I saw a near fall or a thing that happened, even when you had Young getting the leverage on the ropes.
They kind of foreshadowed it on commentary as well when they were like, nobody in TNA has ever lost their title on their first defense. I'm like,
exactly.
Okay,
why say that? Yeah, they had a few of those wonderful gems tonight where they just lay out such amazing, wonderful statements, and it's like, guys, really? And that doesn't put the edge like they think it does to Eric Young. It made it even more of a what?
No. He
say it with me now, group. Foregone conclusion. That's right. I got to get a button for that. I am working on the Jake bot, though, still. I'm going to have my AI reaction bot soon enough. It's coming along quite great. You guys are going to love it.
You mean the Cody bot?
No. This is even better. This is like Awesemo had sex with, remember Steve Urkel? When he made his own Urkel bot? If that Urkel bot had sex with Awesemo, that's the Jake bot.
The Jake bot comes out.
You're going to love it. Debuting soon.
Cupcakes.
It's taken a lot of programming, but
oh, you're stealing my shtick.
Maybe a little bit.
Everything.
Well, I did copy one of your AI models to make this happen, but like I said, Wonder Bread Steve, fun goes to die. He's like an unsauced chicken wing. Absolutely.
Cody being a model?
So we get to Mike Santana and Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali had a great friggin' entrance here. He's got, everybody behind him, and he's got all of the Tulsa Dance Company, the Svetlana Dance Company. And I thought it was a really cool entrance for him. He's got the great
Mike
hands.
Santana had a bunch
Tasha
of boxers
Steeles.
that I don't know with him.
Yeah, he had people come out. All right. That's how I wrote it down too. My note says Santana plus random boxers.
He had him coming to somewhere.
You have to give that more context. That doesn't sound good out of context. Mike Santana and more boxers.
I'm going to keep it. Excuse me. So we get into this match, and they start in the ring, surprisingly enough. Even with this storytelling of forcing people into relapse and fighting addiction, being able to persevere through torture and mental anguish and everything that once was your excuse to now drink with, you're turning against. And it's a great story. It's something relatable for a lot of people. They either know somebody that is an alcoholic or they have an issue with dependency themselves, and people can relate. Addiction is a horrible thing. Mustafa's a great heel, getting tons of great heat. They had an awesome match here.
Santana. That's one match I actually got to see the full thing through. Me and you were texting throughout that whole match.
Yes, this was great. Santana starts right off with a big springboard, but he misses and crashes and burns to the outside. Ali kind of just like, he kind of missed him, so Ali was just like playing it off as like nothing went wrong, and he's just like, hey, I just kind of popped right back up.
Dive and ate shit on the steps.
Yeah, and Ali just pops right back up like, oh, that was supposed to happen. It was like, he was like super smooth with it, but again, they did the sidestep, and then he crashed into the ring steps. Then that was good. They fought into the crowd, and they basically went up to like the top of a balcony, and then Ali climbs all the way up, and he's sitting down over the balcony. Meanwhile, the Secret Service come in, and then eventually the Great Hands. They're attacking Santana down in the lower area, and Ali does this crossbody dive onto the pile of bodies. So he dives on top of his own men.
Yeah.
Crazy, so I guess if that's going to help you out, we'll take it. So he dives on top of his own men, and I'm trying to go back and look. Commentary had a few amazing calls in this one again. They were
good during that match.
They were better here, honestly, but for most of them, it was like, like you said, they I don't know why he dove onto his own men, but hey, whatever, that's okay. So then from there,
you were laughing
Well,
about that.
he's a bad guy. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't
exactly. He doesn't care about anybody.
He doesn't give a shit as
Casting
long
all
as
It was
you
just
get
the
a win
fact
at
that
the end.
Santana got none of it, and he just landed on his own guys entirely. So that was
Just ask Tasha Steeles how much he cares about his backup.
they hit Santana. With basically, it looked like a backslide, but then he counters it and he ends up getting a Death Valley driver of basically Ali's on his shoulder, just a Death Valley driver onto the chairs that Ali set up. Holy shit, that had to hurt. That's a really ouch.
Oh, sorry, forgot to mention. Shout out to Mike Santana's Bret Hart tribute gear.
Oh yes, that as well. Good point to make there. I forgot all about that, but
Men wear pink and such.
yeah, finally they had a few sickening chair shots working their way back into the ring, and they seated the chair they pretty much against the apron at one point, and they hit him with the coast to coast. That was awesome. Shades of Shane McMahon. They had a few good near falls both on the floor while they were battling, and Hotch and Skyler basically return at one point, and they got Santana down on this table, and they're holding him down, and Ali's going to jump off the turnbuckle. He does a 450 splash. Now I'm thinking the entire time, oh, Santana's going to fight back. He's going to get, nope, Ali 450 all his weight, bam, goddamn, wow. He deserved that pain. The crowd was going nuts. I thought that might have been the finish, but no, he kicks out at 2. And now Santana's fighting off, the great hands, and they end up handcuffing him at this point. And basically, he ends up handcuffing both of them to the middle rope while they're in front of the ring steps. And he just basically, he finds a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire under the ring. But I think he searched for it for about 2 hours, it felt like.
Yeah.
Did time not just cease to exist in that moment? He could not find this damn thing. And I know they needed it for the finish, but goddamn, was this a very TNA thing to happen. Not yet, Kratos. We've not talked about the TNA knockouts match yet, so that's coming up. Basically, we saw them pull out another table, and the crowd was going nuts for that. Santana gets up and he gets put on top of the table, and then eventually Santana gets off. He cuts off Ali and he hits him with a big superplex through the table. That was great. That got a great near fall. He barely got the cover. You heard the fans chanting, "This is awesome." And that's when Ali goes over. He grabs the barbed wire baseball bat. Santana grabs Ali from the back, and Ali basically hits him over with it, and it gets stuck in his hair. He has to rip it to get it out. He falls backwards, and Ali's holding it up, and he's getting ready to just finish him off. Santana gets up. He's bleeding. He swings, but Santana stuffs it under his arm. He grabs him. He hits the spin, the block, gets the big lariat clothesline, gets the pin. An almost 20-minute match. Holy shit, this was brutal. They did a great Falls Count Anywhere match here. Finished it back in the ring like I like. So far, this was match of the night. Maybe overall. They had...
One thing I love, and it's nothing against these guys, and it's not about this match, but it's one of those gotta love wrestling things. We can put each other through steel. We can put each other through tables. There was an odd toss into the timekeepers area at one point. We can put your manager through a table. We can grate your face with barbed wire. But the thing that wins the match is a clothesline. And I'm not being derogatory. I fucking love wrestling.
I just want to spin your block tonight. Yeah, we got to get into that. No biggie, you gonna get a big pop. No, all right, but I love this match, Cody. You loved it all the way through. I know.
Oh yeah.
Steels was fun. They had a great table spot that I wanted to bring up after the fact because it was a great moment, but Santana goes ahead and he picks her up on the apron and the table's set up in front of him lengthwise, and he jumps through it in such a way that his ass breaks the table, and she never actually hits. She never touches the table. He puts her down so gently, completely protected her entirely, but it looked cool, and that's all that matters. But it did make me chuckle. Yes, and I was there for that. All right, just like you saw the chamber in the dome. They put it in the dome. I was there when
They put the
put it
chamber
in the dome?
dome.
That's
They put
right.
the chamber in the dome.
When Bubba put Mae Young through that table in his trance, and same idea
And then
here.
she went down on his dome.
She did. Well, Moolah, she's all about the slobby knob, but I'll
Got
tell
on
you
his
what.
Dudleys?
She's 66 years old, somebody had said earlier. That's ridiculous if that's true. But whatever. Hey, go for it. All in all, I went ahead and they're talking about Barbara Crampton, by the way. She's 66, if that's the case. She's one of the notary people being in attendance, obviously the Scream Queen herself. She was there. What did they have next? What was the next match?
The triple main event.
Yes, we started now. That's correct. I kept thinking there was one more in between here. So,
yeah, no, I think they kind of used. It's kind of a bummer because I would have swapped out the tag match for this as far as what the 3 main events were. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts super quick, and then Spaz has to go to sleep.
Yes, indeed, you have work, my friend.
Happy for the Nemeths. I'm of all the bad finishes that we got tonight, I'm glad for the bad finish in this because especially Ryan Nemeth is the guy that's going to give you a bullshit like slimy finish, whatever.
Especially under the guise that he's only in TNA because his brother's here. Like, I appreciate that he's willing to even do that as a storyline. Like, that's really hard on some people's ego
because it is true.
It is a bit of nepotism. Yeah, but then again, I mean, he wasn't in other companies with his brother, so there is some degree. But yeah.
Well, I think the accusation was when he went to AEW. The only reason AEW hired him was because they thought he would convince his brother to come over.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that's true. I'm not even casting aspersions at AEW.
No, certainly.
I really thought Dolph Ziggler was going to go to AEW myself. I don't know whatever happened to that, but
anyways, between that and Masha Slamovich killing it with Tessa Blanchard and retaining and being a kick-ass ladies champion, and the main event was a lot of fun. The story coming out of that is Trick Williams obviously attacking Joe Hendry. I hope that match happens at Under Siege so I can see it live. Good show overall. I'm dipping out right now because I'm about to pass out. Fun talking to you guys.
Yeah, tell everybody where they can find you, Sir Spaz, please.
Yeah, Spaz Phoenix Podcast on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and then at Spaz Phoenix on X and Instagram. I will, at some point next week, be doing a little bit more TNA solo content because they are doing a live Impact this coming Thursday, but it's not until 10 p.m. So I'll probably be doing it sometime next weekend.
Yeah.
Cody, sir, good night. Jake, thanks for having me.
Good night as well.
Thank you, sir, for being here. We appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to Spaz. Yeah, Cody really is Spaz. He's just using a voice changer, thankfully. But it works out for me. It's less of a tax break, and I only got to pay one of them. Get a bunch of employees.
No tariffs.
Yeah.
Good night.
Fucking ain't right. So we went ahead and we head into the first of our triple main event. We've got Masha Slamovich taking on She's a Racist, Tessa Blanchard for the Knockouts Championship. The crowd gave her just shit through this entire match. Deserved or not, I feel like she's kind of proven herself to this extent. And I kind of wish they'd get past the She's a Racist stuff because you're chanting about stuff that's outside of this, but they're never going to forget. And
fuck them.
I mean, I get initially, but we're past all this. She's working with people, and none of that was ever really.
Makes no sense. Like, how do you expect someone to change if you won't let them?
There were stories of her being improper to people, but there was never like, definitive, like, yeah, she's 110% racist. This is what she did. She made people feel bad. She did terrible things, no doubt, but I never actually truly took her to be racist. And if that was the case, I don't think they would have let her back in either.
No matter what. You'll be labeled that no matter what.
Just like 9/11, they're never going to forget. That's right, Pico. So Tessa gets a huge attack early on. She gets dove into and right from the ring to the floor gets toppled out. And that's when Tessa tries to catch her, but she ends up getting, her finish early on. It looked like it was going to be a squash in just a short start, but that was not the case. So Slamovich eventually, she gets her into the middle turnbuckle, and Tessa's just kind of just laid out, and You see Masha get her in the Magnum for a near fall. That was cool. She sets her up for the pile driver, but then she ends up getting out of it. Tessa hits a good backdrop, but Slamovich ends up basically getting out of that. She bounces her legs off the ropes and held on to Blanchard, and then she files through with the pile driver. Great spot. So basically an up and over and a reverse into a reversal. Incredible. Loved it. Then we saw a huge hammerlock DDT again from Tessa for another great near fall. And Tessa goes up top, and the fans again start the this is, she's a racist and every other negative chant they can. And that's when she's playing to the crowd, and Masha gets a chance to go and cut her off. And they're fighting, and then she's doing some headbutts, and Tessa then gets a huge avalanche senton performed on her. It was crazy. Slamovich stands up and she just drills her with a knee strike to the head, and then she covers her. I thought right there that would have been it, but that was not the case. She immediately, right then and there, hits her with the armbar. Tessa should have tapped out a little bit later, maybe even passed out, but she taps pretty immediately here. And like I said, there's two camps. They either did it to punish her, some people are thinking, which I don't think is the case. I think it's more the case that, hey, they want to show that she can play ball. She's been given some big wins already, like over Jordan Grace when she was leaving. And I don't think this will be the only time we see her going for the title in the future. I think we're going to get a stipulation rematch from these two next. And it seems like, yeah, she definitely wants to be in the women's locker room and be included, be a team player. It seems like, that was kind of the show of force they were going for here. A good match. Not the best of ever, but damn good. Entertaining. And I really enjoyed it. So I would give that like a 7.5 out of 10, no doubt. Then we had what everybody came to see, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. The Hardy Boys taking on Nick and Ryan Nemeth for the TNA Tag Team titles. Yeah, so the Hardys definitely got top of the night for their entrance. From the very first note, that the crowd came totally unfucking glued. They sounded like 10 times the strength of the numbers that they actually had in that crowd. Loved the enthusiasm for the Hardys. And with the outcome, I wonder if they're able to go to WWE soon. I wonder if that's even in the cards or if that's the plan.
The Hardy Boys said something about that they want to do something around the summertime for WWE. I'm not sure if that's still the case or not, but I remember them saying something about that, which would be great.
I agree. I would like to see them come back in the summertime and then get put into the Hall of Fame together.
Would they be doing an NXT run? But I don't.
I think they already did. Yeah, they were already in NXT for some of the things. Now I think if they come back to WWE, they're going straight to the main roster. The only reason they were in NXT was just because of the TNA crossover. So this was a well-wrestled match, believe it or not. And a lot of people are down in Ryan Nemeth, but Nick sells as well as anybody. He is damn impressive. And I liked hearing, Hannafan on commentary basically call Ryan his Nepo baby brother over and over. So that was funny.
Everyone's using that nowadays.
Yeah, Tom kept up with that Nepo baby. So as soon as the opening bell happened, the crowd was just white hot, like we said, for the Hardys here. And they keep going over on commentary saying, well, Ryan's only here because of his brother, the Nepo baby brother, and justifiably so. And eventually it was kind of telling because Ryan was the one who won the match. They set this story up pretty damn perfectly. Even if you're not okay with the outcome, they made it so. They kept trying to tell you that, Ryan is the underdog. He's nothing without his brother. He shouldn't be here. He's not talented enough. He's not good enough. He can't do it. And lo and behold, he won it.
Which made the outcome tolerable because...
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was great. For the storytelling, at first I was upset that the Hardys lost, but then I was like, all right, I appreciate the story. I see where you're going.
It actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't think the Nemeths are going to have a long run with the titles. The Hardys might even get them back. Who knows? But I think this might lead to the Hardys. I don't know. That's a good question, and I don't think they signed anything long term with them. So
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And with the working deal,
about the summer with WWE.
Yeah, I mean, at one point in time, Jeff had Dolph Nick pinned, but I don't know what happened here. And this is what upset me the most and kind of ruined the match for me for a bit. It was Matt Hardy basically trips into the referee at the 2 count, and it breaks up the count. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, because he was trying to get into position to play defense for Ryan to break up the pin. But I guess Ryan never got to break up the pin because the Hardys did it for him. That could have been the ending, but obviously we knew the story they had to tell. So maybe that was intentional. Even if it was intentional, it made them look like idiots. They had the match won, and they're the veterans here, and they bump into the ref to break the count. What? So that was bad. That certainly hurt the match. I don't know if it was planned or unintentional. I watched it back a few times, and I couldn't tell, because Matt was kind of trying to move, but I don't know. And especially the way they played it off, because Jeff didn't hit the swanton here. He hit the splash. So I wasn't
so Ryan was supposed to break up the pin, right?
I'm thinking. So then that's when.
So did Ryan miss his cue? Or?
I don't think so. I think just them hitting the referee made Ryan not get the breakup. So then they had to repeat it again, because Matt hit Nick again with a twist of fate. Jeff goes for the swanton, and that's when Ryan gets on the apron, crotches him, and then Matt is beating up Ryan, and he sets up a chair on the floor, and he goes to try and drop him onto it, but then Ryan backtraps Matt right onto the chair. It looked brutal. That was a hell of a painful spot. And then Nick goes ahead and he kicks and low blows Jeff in the balls. The ref doesn't see it. All of a sudden, he hits the zigzag, the danger zone, and he goes ahead, moves over. He tags his brother in. Ryan goes, covers Jeff, and gets the 3 count. 1, 2, 3. So now, like I said, we had a good match. I don't hate the ending, but that blunder with Matt hitting the ref really hurt the Hardys here. It made them look so foolish and inept that they broke their own pinfall up that was about to go ahead and have them win. Not a good look at all, and it looks like they had to kind of repeat the spot, and they changed it up just a little bit. I think Ryan was going to break up the pin, and then Matt would have gotten taken out to the outside with Ryan. Jeff would have done the low blow, so I think they just added in the twist of fate and then going for the swanton. I think they called an audible. I'm not sure, but that part with the ref definitely did not look intentional. I don't know how you guys in the chat feel, but to me, that took a few points off. That blunder was It was painful, but the fans were so into the Hardys that when they lost here, oh, it hurt. Oh, I mean, and it's going to be a ton of heat on Ryan, and I like that. You know, it's legitimate heel heat, not go away heat yet. So we got to see what happens. You know, we've got Under Siege coming up. Spaz will be there. That's Friday, May 23rd from Brampton, Ontario, not Toronto. Then we had Santino come out, and they basically gave their predictions for the match. We mentioned earlier that they announced the signing of Indy Hartwell. As always, I think that's a great signing. She was excellent in NXT, and then when she got to the main roster, she just never really got a chance to get her ability to be in a story that was competent enough for her to sink her teeth into. They had
Indy Hartwell?
Yeah. They tried to follow up with her.
To the main roster, I don't know what happened to her wrestling, but it went on a decline for whatever reason for me. Maybe that was just me, but she wasn't clicking.
She wasn't, and I don't know if it was just who she was working with or the time, because we're coming out of the pandemic era as well. It wasn't great for her, and she never really got to be in a storyline where she was properly utilized.
No. And that's more on WWE than anything, but...
How do you pump up the fans more than anything here? You go ahead and you have Joe Hendry come out. That's right.
Yeah.
They have the main event started. It's Frankie Kazarian first, and he brings out his Call Your Shot trophy. Thank Christ he doesn't have to carry that big ugly thing around anymore. I know some people don't mind the cup, but we got Ethan Page coming out second, and he really felt like a non-factor in this match, huh? I feel like it was more Hendry and Frankie than Ethan, really.
Yeah.
Kazarian breaks up the Ego's Edge later on. Like, I really just felt like Ethan Page was really an afterthought. It was a good match, but
third wheel kind of.
Joe Hendry comes out. We get amazing "We Believe" chants. Everybody's going nuts, swaying from side to side. Everybody loves themselves some Joe Hendry.
Amen.
Absolutely. We go ahead and they do their introductions, and they start off right away. So you see Ethan Page. He starts off. He's got Joe Hendry in the guillotine. He's attacking the injured shoulder, and Hendry's able to get out of it. And he basically, you get Kazarian coming back in. He was down at ringside, and he comes in, hits 2 big moves, gets some near falls, kind of nothing. You know, they all just take turns trying to do their finishers, but nobody actually gets them. And then Joe Hendry, he gets Kazarian up for a power bomb. And Kazarian hits Page, who was seated on top of the ropes, and then he suplexed Page while Hendry was powerbombing him. So that was, again, a very cool spot. So Hendry has, like I said, Page up, Kazarian, because Page is sitting on the top, excuse me. Yeah, so Hendry is lifting up Kazarian for the powerbomb, and then, Frankie goes ahead and he grabs Ego. So when he grabs Ethan Page, they do the suplex while he's doing the powerbomb. Incredible. Really badass. Terrible explanation. But thank you, JJ Hunter. Nothing else on. That's why we're here to review TNA Rebellion. Got to be fun for a Sunday night. I really love that spot. They had a few innovative spots throughout the night, like we said, and they tried to, when they could, really impress the fans. We saw them, basically Kazarian hit a big slingshot DDT for a near fall, and then he hit the fade to black and goes for the pin, but Page breaks it up. Now Hendry gets his time. He gets the Olympic slam on Page for a 2 count, and then they get the first Kazarian hits Angel Wings and gets another near fall, and they give a shout out to the one, the only Christopher Daniels. So that was cool. That made fans chant, "This is awesome." It was cool to see him, little SCU-ing. But Kazarian goes ahead, and he's got the chicken wing locked in on Joe. And Page gets knocked out of the ring with a backdrop eventually. Hendry, he's starting to fade, but the fans, they're building him up. They're empowering him. It's like Popeye and spinach. Once you hear the crowd believing, Joe Hendry's super powered. So he hits a big Death Valley driver, basically a toss that sent Kazarian through the table that was set up on the floor. Great moment there. And that's when Page goes ahead and tries to hit him with the belt, but he ducks out of it. He goes for his finisher, and that's when Page gets away from it, and he drops Hendry with a cutter. Covers him, and I'm like, oh, good. Nope, near fall. And that was really the biggest thing we got from Page through all of it. That's when Hendry comes, and he does a huge fall-away slam, gets the standing ovation, gets the 3 count. Kazarian's still selling on the outside with that table spot. His cup has been cashed in. And now we got Joe Hendry, middle of the ring. He's celebrating. He's all excited. He's won. Everybody's chanting.
I like it.
Oh my God, Trick Williams. Trick Williams comes in and decimates Joe Hendry, hits him with a big spin kick, then hits him with the trick shot. The fans are booing, and you see Trick give him a little of their own DX medicine with a crotch chop, telling them all to go themselves. He goes ahead and he picks up the title, grabs it, looks at it, and drops it on Joe Hendry. He gives the fans this look. They chant.
I like it. Oh, yeah, man.
And we fade to black. What an ending.
That was a fucking beautiful ending. I'm glad I got to see that. He whooped that Trick alright.
The crowd was still excited for Joe Hendry, thankfully. I thought the Hardys losing was just going to make them nut and shut. There was going to be, just totally tight-lipped for their main event. That wasn't the case, though, and it really proves the star power and the rising star power of Joe Hendry. What an amazing week he's had. Hopefully he gets some time to rest and starts feeling a little bit better.
Like him a lot more because, remember, I've talked to you for a few months. I thought the guy was overhyped.
Yeah, you didn't really believe yet. You didn't get it, and then it clicked for you, and that's kind of the thing. It's a fun gimmick, but he's also damn good in the ring. He's really good on promos. He can play guitar, he can sing, he dances, he makes all his own, themes and tunes. He's just extremely entertaining and very creative.
Anytime he gets the chance, John Cena fucking loves the guy.
Absolutely.
He's always talking good about him.
John Cena actually called him on the phone. You know that? When he was a kid, Joe Hendry was 15 or 16 years old, and his friend had a birthday party, and they went to whatever, Scottish WWE show that was there, and he didn't get to go. And his favorite was John Cena, and his friend, the birthday kid, went ahead and at the meet and greet, they got to meet John Cena for whatever the reason was, and Hendry wasn't there, so his best friend had called him, and Cena talked to him. I wonder
why he couldn't go.
I don't remember the reason, but it sucked. He couldn't go. But Cena called him on the phone, and not just for a minute, like, "Hey, how are you, kid? I'm John Cena. Goodbye." I guess he talked to him for over close to 15 minutes and gave him a ton of advice.
That's the kind of guy Cena is.
Yeah, and
Cena
he really
is one of those.
He made it memorable for Hendry, and I guess Hendry was just very smart, polite, and with it, and Cena really took to it, and it's this great memory. So now he's trying to manifest a match with Cena that I would love to see, especially heel Cena. He was going for it when Cena was just retiring as a face.
I don't try to call for matches. I just do what they give me. You know how much Cena praises him. Just on the Pat McAfee show the other day, Cena wants to work with him.
Yeah, certainly. And, you heard it then. Pat and everybody was putting over Joe, and Cena did as well. I'll say overall, this was a decently strong pay-per-view, maybe like a 7 out of 10, because the crowd was great. They were very hot until they gave him a reason not to be.
That could have been better.
But between the streaming issues, the opening first, I think 2 matches in the pre-show left a lot to be desired, and it really hurt the pacing for a bit. Some people thought the pacing was good. I thought it was a bit underwhelming. A lot of these matches, when we previewed it, seemed great on paper. And then the Ultimate X, besides Slater's big top rope moments,
it all has to do with pacing, though, like for matches to click.
Yeah, the women's tag. Like I said, Leon Slater was the highlight.
Tag division and TNA. I want, as I said, I want Liv and Raquel to face some of those women's tag teams there.
I think that'd be great. And they can always do it, bringing them over to NXT or bringing them back to TNA. They can do it either which way now.
Will they let Liv and Raquel go to TNA?
I don't know. Maybe they're too mainstream for them, but I would like to hope so.
Liv is for sure. I don't know.
But that would be a great ratings boost, surely, you would have to think. Like I said, they had some high spots, but TNA was just it was pretty damn good tonight. Wasn't amazing, but it was damn good. It was worth watching. Like I said, the Ultimate X match.
You can't.
I'm happy. I was entertained. The Ultimate X match was good. Had a few great high spots from Slater. He should have won, really. I mean, going back, it looks like he had control of the belt when he landed. I'm not an NFL referee. I just play one on TV, but we'll see. They could always go back and have him, go ahead and have a right to the match. But also, we have to see what they do later on because, Zachary Wentz went ahead and pinned Moose as well. He's owed him a rematch, too. He never got one. So the women's tag match, that was a stinker, unfortunately. Just very hectic, too much going on. Lash legend Jakara Jackson had a good moment, but she almost killed Jakara by throwing her a little bit short.
Oh, yeah.
When she threw Ash on the outside, that was great with the press slam, but still... Yeah, not a good match, not enough for the crowd. The 6-man tag picked things up. That got me to be alive again and awake. I love the Rascals. Ace Austin's on this great resurgence since Bay is injured. They have a lot to be thankful for.
Mike Santana and Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, the DX stuff was fun as well with Sean Waltman. Here's again the problem with the pacing. They had Macklin and Eric Young. That was very slow and very boring, especially with Icarus and Williams, the Northern Armory, getting ejected. And they were no longer a threat. So you really knew Eric Young was not going to go ahead and beat Macklin, even though commentary made sure you knew that was a foregone conclusion and not going to happen. Like you said, Santana and Ali in the street fight was Falls Count Anywhere madness. Loved it. The spot to him jumping on all the men was funny. He took down his old great hands, but I still liked it.
I love that match because I was texting you about that one. I fucking love that. I thought that was hilarious. So I'm jumping on the.
It was, and it was a great heel moment.
It entertains me.
Exactly. It was all entertaining throughout all of this. Ali got his ass kicked. He sells like no other. Him and Dolph are pretty similar in that regard. Ali always made everybody else look good, and he never got the time to shine himself. So that's why I like he really got this great.
He could have worked out in WWE a lot. They tried to give him stuff like Wasn't he supposed to be, what's that fucking called?
Kofi Mania. So he was going to be in the gauntlet match, and then Randy Orton gave him a black eye, I think it was, and he ended up missing the gauntlet. Kofi went ahead and Kofi went ahead and survived the entire gauntlet. So everybody started cheering for him to win the Elimination Chamber. And then that went on to Kofi Mania for him to get the title at Mania against Daniel Bryan. And that was an amazing match at WrestleMania 35. Heel Bryan was great, the environmentalist. But
it was kind of like the opposite of WrestleMania, like, because Vince wouldn't allow it, and so then Daniel Bryan was the authority's stooge, right? Little, like, because Vince was trying to protect Bryan.
Exactly. But then Vince goes ahead and he's like, "Don't worry, kid, I got you. I'm going to get you the Money in the Bank briefcase." And Ali is told he's going to win it. And I'm there in person, Hartford, Connecticut. Everybody's watching. It's great.
I remember that one.
And he climbs up the ladder and he grabs the briefcase, and then dun. Brock Lesnar returns, and Ali never unclips the briefcase. He just sits there holding it for about 40 seconds. Brock comes in, destroys everybody.
I don't know.
Because he knew he wasn't supposed to win anymore, so he just gave up selling and he was like, fuck it. So he just sat there holding it, and then imagine that. That's how you find out you're not winning Money in the Bank. What's going on, Casey is Raw? Thank you to everybody being so active in the chat tonight. But Ali always deserved better. He had, when I went with Joe to SmackDown, that was one of the best matches I've ever sseen in my entire life. Mustafa Ali was defending the Cruiserweight title. He was amazing. He was always fantastic. I forget. I think it was Neville in that bout.
Was that at Mohegan Sun? The one you and Joe went to?
Yes.
Mohegan Sun?
That was Mohegan Sun. And I'm telling you, great fucking match. I still go back and watch it. Here we are. I have it in my books anyway, my book favorite matches. I thought it was just a really great match. Very bloody Santana goes ahead after getting hit with the barbed wire baseball bat. Ends up stuffing it the second time, grabs the bat, blocks it, hits the spin, the block, clothesline, lariat finisher. Awesome. Crowd went nuts. And then we had Masha and Tessa, and the crowd never gave Tessa a chance. They booed the hell out of her, and because they never gave her a chance, it always felt like Masha was going to win. Unfortunately, it was an okay match, better than the crowd reacted, but still not amazing. It was a strong match. Again, decent, but really the match that everybody came to see was the Hardy Boys taking on Nick Namath and Ryan Namath. Very fun match. White hot. The Hardys put it all out there. The heels win in the end due to some fuckery and a bit of an odd finish, but I think we'll enjoy the story on this side going forward. The LA crowd was so hot for the Hardys. They were the biggest pop of the night, surely. What's going on, Dan Crumbo? Thank you to all you guys. Make sure you're hitting the like button in the chat. I appreciate you all. Then we had the main event, Hendry, Page, and Kazarian. This was Kazarian's call your shot match, and now he doesn't have to walk around with that gigantic cup anymore. So it was nice to see Hendry get the massive standing ovation on Page, pins him, retains in about 14 minutes, and then, lo and behold, we see the greatest attack yet from Trick Williams. So I'm really excited to see how they're going to build this up. Is it going to be on a TNA pay-per-view? Is it going to be with NXT? I imagine.
I think you can do a match on both. I think you need a.
You certainly could. You absolutely could. But I think they're going to do it at Under Siege. I hope so for Spaz's sake, because that would be great.
Under Siege?
And that, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I could see that.
TNA Under Siege is the next one coming up in Brampton.
What's NXT's pay-per-view?
I forget what's coming up next after Stand and Deliver. That's a good question.
What's the fucking name?
So we have what coming up? What's coming up? Let's check. It's going everywhere. Let's going everywhere. We got NXT Battleground, May 25th. That's in Tampa, Florida at the MLA Arena. And then after that, we have Saturday night's main event is the next thing announced. So that's it so far. Underwear.
Right.
That's right. What would you give tonight out of 10, Cody? Right.
There was some misses, but it was a good show overall. Not bad, but like could have been better. I'm gonna go with a 7.
I feel that. I'm about a 7, maybe, probably a 7 myself. It was a 3-match show. It was the 6-man tag with the Rascals and Ace Austin.
Yes.
It was absolutely the Hardys tag match, especially with the crowd reaction, and it was the main event with Joe Hendry. My God, is he over? I enjoyed seeing the people online.
Helped made matches better.
Absolutely.
Should have.
And you know what? They didn't have the largest crowd there tonight, but you couldn't tell by the sound of it. The side of it looked small at times. The hard cam left a little bit to be desired because there was like only 3 or 4 rows on the floor. Damn, they were loud and they were all about it. So I was definitely happy that we went ahead and saw it tonight. Yeah, I'd give it about a 7 out of 10, I think. Again, a 3-match card, the 6-man tag, the Hardys tag, and then the main event. I'm excited to see what we get going forward. Don't forget, folks, we'll be live this Tuesday after NXT for Into Somewhere Weekly, where Cody and I will review Raw. We'll talk about what's coming up on SmackDown for the rest of the week. We'll review TNA as well, coming up possibly this Thursday. We'll see what's going on. Hopefully we can make it, but we'll definitely be there Tuesday for NXT.
We going over Raw on Tuesday, or are we going to be live for Raw tomorrow?
No, we'll be live on Tuesday, all of it, Into Somewhere Weekly. We'll cover Raw, we'll cover NXT, and then we'll discuss what's coming up on SmackDown. We'll discuss what's coming up for TNA and any other news and rumors for the week.
Maybe another weekly episode of our new series.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll have something up there.
Folks are going to want to go ahead and check that out.
Off the air.
Yeah, we're doing... guilty or guilt-free. You're going to want to go ahead and check that out. Cody and I broke down earlier. We got the evidence board out, and we went over all of the evidence we have against the one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
It doesn't even have to even be wrestling all the time. If you want to...
Yeah, whatever you guys want to see.
Any stories.
Guilty or guilt-free, let us in. And we'll be doing more stuff with viewers, with Liz, with everybody throughout the week. When we go ahead and grab more people in, we'll be live doing our weekly shows as well. But Cody, tell the people where they can find you, my good man.
You can find me over on Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it nowadays, at Judgment Day Era. And you can find me over on the Instagram at Cody_Onidi_316.
That's right. All the information and links in the description box down below. Make sure you check out Spaz as well. Thank you to him for being here. He's got work tomorrow. But you can go ahead and check out his YouTube channel in the description box down below. I am a co-host over there on The State of Wrestling once a week, sometimes more. We break down everything of NXT, TNA, sometimes AEW, mostly WWE.
Yes, and it's really talented because I'm actually both of them as well. So.
That's right. You go ahead. I will send it to you again, Casey. I thought I sent it to you on Messenger, but we'll get that to you. We'll send out the Discord links as well, but you can find
me as well.
That's right here on YouTube. You can go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, and comment. What was your favorite match, and what are you looking forward to this week? Let us know. You can also go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Countdown Ended. For those of you watching on Rumble, make sure you follow me there. Hit the like button, and thank you for doing so. You can find me on Instagram. I'm being more active there at Countdown Ended. And like I said, on Instagram or Twitter, my DMs are open. Go ahead and leave me a message anytime you want. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you all have a great night. It's Monday now, so have a great Monday. Happy Hump Day, and stay sexy, everybody.
Oh, yeah.